Welcome to Land Academy. This is the Cash Flow from Land show, where we show you how to buy unwanted vacant land and sell it for more on the internet. I'm Steve Butala.
I'm Jill DeWitt.
We are your hosts. With over 15,000 completed transactions, we are the experts in this niche land flipping business.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com. All right, let's get this show started.
Hey, Steve Butala here for Land Academy. Welcome to our Cash Flow from Land show. In this episode, Jill and I take a look at the details of buying two types of cash flowing investments, land and houses. When we're done with this show, it'll be glaringly clear that buying a piece of land and selling it on terms or for cash is way, way, way more profitable and easy to accomplish than buying a house and renting it out. But both have their place. So if you're thinking about buying and renting houses, I think it's a great, fantastic idea, but consider land maybe before or during while you're this effort. And I'm actually going to try to keep Jill awake in this show because it's in two parts, and this is one of our technical shows. We covered the numbers portion of it, which I'll do, and the management portion of it, which Jill does incredibly well. Jill, how are you?
Sorry, what? Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah, what?
That's what I thought. I want to sleep during the intro like all of our listeners. Like all 6 of our listeners just fell asleep too.
That's great. If anybody's listening to this on their way home, on their commute home, keep your eyes on the road, please.
As luck would have it.
Because your eyes are getting just so deep. You know what, Stephen? You do have that very soothing voice sometimes. It just makes people go honk.
That's the effect that I have on women.
So that's how you get women you just hope you're gonna talk long enough they're gonna pass out.
Yeah, it takes like 3 seconds. So if you can't stand our technical shows and you just want to fast forward through it, I get it. Or if you love our technical shows, and you want to dive right into this, either way, I will tell you that the name of our next show is Flirt to Convert. Jill takes on sex appeal to sell land.
Why would anyone not want to listen to this show? Granted, the next show is going to be really good.
There's some good stuff in here.
You and I always have fun no matter what we're talking about. I think that's why people listen to us, is because we can take some of the most boring subjects and make them entertaining.
So, all right, there's the two types of land investments, or two types of cash flowing investments. You got land and you got rental houses or houses that you buy. Both of them, you buy it, you look at it, you analyze it, you go at it the same way. And you make the same decisions. Buy the land. Should I flip it for cash? Should I flip the house for cash? Should I rent it out? Or should I sell the land on terms and collect payments for a heck of a long time? So there's lots of components to this. Let's start with the first one, which I think is ridiculously overlooked and incredibly important. Entry capability from a money standpoint.
Yes.
What the heck does that mean? How much does it cost to buy a house? And how much does it cost, if you're new at this, to buy a piece of land and flip it? Buy a house and flip it, buy a piece of land and flip it. Jill, give me some raw numbers just for fun.
Oh my goodness. If you're lucky, you can buy a house for $150,000, $200,000. Do you have that sitting around? Probably not.
Right.
Versus
you could borrow the money.
You could. And there's a whole nother point of that I know you're going to discuss. Versus, I don't know, can I come up with $500 or $1,000 to get started and buy for cash
Let's say
a piece
15.
of land?
I think most of the new people in our Land Academy members, they buy it for $500, $500 to $800.
So you can buy a couple.
So I'm all conservative, and I say it costs $1,500 to buy a piece of property, a piece of land, to almost immediately flip it for $3,000 to $4,000.
Right. What's to think about?
We could end the show right there.
Okay. Bye. No, this is a good point, because this is one of the things that I know that I have this ongoing discussion often with a number of people in one of our favorite websites, Bigger Pockets, about the cost of entry for this versus what you just said versus rental homes. And I know that a lot of people didn't even know this was possible.
That's right.
That's really the discussion. It's like, what are you talking about? They'll see me having a discussion with somebody too, and I'll have 6 people reach out to me going, what are you talking about? I'm like, yes. And I know that we have a number of current members that they do want to do rental homes, or they want to go into this, they want to go into that. And this is a really good logical place for them to even start, get their feet wet, lower cost of entry, fantastic returns, less risk, learn the business.
Right. So, there's a right way and a wrong way to buy a house. And I really think for a new investor, taking on a financial partner and paying cash for the house is 1,000 times better than actually going and getting a loan. Loans are expensive, and if something goes sideways, your hands are kind of tied, and you got to deal with it. I just think so. I mean, it's to wrap up the cash portion of this. It just makes so much more sense to shell out a couple $1,000, $1,000, maybe even $500, flip a property, see if you can do it, see if you like it. It's not for everybody.
It's true.
Doubling your money on an asset is not for everybody, which cracks me up. I don't know.
Isn't that funny?
Some people just don't want to do it, I guess. I don't know. All right. So, I mean, the next point then might be, do we need to visit these properties?
No.
Each asset. Do we need to visit? Do we buy properties every week out of state?
Okay. This is really two parts. When you're new and you're getting to know this, is it a good idea to get to know the area? Maybe take a trip out there, get to know the county and stuff. It's not going to hurt you. How about that? Is it required? Nope. It is not required in our land thing, especially nowadays with, Google Earth Pro and all the wonderful mapping things out there.
And hiring a photographer on Craigslist like we teach.
Correct. You could even, as you're really getting close to, if you're really doing your homework, say it's your first deal and you just want to just make sure, you could pay $50, hire a photographer, have them go out there, give them the GPS coordinates, have them go out there, take some pictures of it for you. So you don't really technically have to stand on the dirt, but you can actually feel like you did stand on it, have the views look in all four directions, whatever you want.
Take a video.
Take a video of it, and then you really know what it is, what it looks like, everything. If you really want to go that far, you sure can. And gosh, it's so much less expensive, doing it that way.
I can't imagine, unless you're in some kind of institutional investor environment, buying a house sight unseen. But we do it with land all the time. And again, Jill's right. We're not advocating, if you're new in this business, to buy assets that you haven't seen. I think when you're new, you really need to take a look at the property or practice in your own market and then expand wherever you can expand. But so if one of the consequences of not having to go visit the property after your season is now you're in a scalable business. Right. Which means that you can be sending out mailers or jamming your acquisition pipeline full all over the country.
Right.
With houses, I think there's a lot of, the first thing I do when I go into a house that we're thinking about buying or using as a rental is I just inadvertently start finding problems. The cabinets need to be replaced or whatever. And it's just, that never happens with land. Mm-hmm. The physical asset, it's land.
It is what it is.
It could burn down. And it's worth the same amount of money.
True.
In fact, some cases when you burn it down, it's maybe worth more.
Right. What's so interesting you say about that is not only do you walk in and find things, it's so subjective what people want in a home. The color schemes now are not the color schemes, whatever. It's just, it changes and everybody has a different attitude and there's so many variables. And we've done this. Don't think we haven't. We have done this.
And we do it.
And, right. But it does not compare to the ease and profitability we have found with our land.
Exactly. Next point, deal structure. So 100% of our deals for land are structured as cash deals. And here, I'll walk you through the points. You send out a mailer to a ton of properties that you've identified in maybe a single or area that you think are good acquisition candidates, and you send them a purchase agreement. You don't send them a postcard or something. And so you get a lot of purchase agreements back in the mail or a lot of positive phone calls back in the mail that people are ready to do deals. Step one. Step two, you pick the best ones and you do the deal. You do the paperwork. And you get a cashier's check for, let's say, $1,000 if you're buying a property. You call a notary in that area where the seller is. The property might be in Nevada, the seller might be in Maine. This happened like a month ago, this exact example. And you hire the notary, send all the stuff to the notary goes to the seller's house, they hand it the check, they sign the deed, the notary sends all the information back to you and you send it in the county. It takes, 5 days? Mm-hmm. Maybe 7? Mm-hmm. And you're the property owner.
Totally.
Walk us through a house deal, Jill.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm going to take a nap. Go ahead.
Yeah, right? Oh, well, first I got to find the right one. Now I got to negotiate the price. What commission does that person want? What commission does this person want? I got to get through all that first and make sure this is going to still work and my numbers still line up. Now I got to hope too that the house is, whatever.
Got a pass inspection.
Right.
Got to get a mortgage.
Oh my gosh. And the title company. Okay. How much is that going to cost? There's so many things. And the mortgage thing is the part that scares me the most. That's, and the points involved and the down payment involved. And by the way, did I have the money for the down payment? Am I trying to appease an investor because I didn't have the money for a down payment? That's a whole nother variable that you need to consider. So there's so much. And then if all the stars are in alignment, you can do this in 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days is, wow, I don't know if can you get a loan in 30 days anymore?
Sure.
Any more, you think, after the changes? I don't know.
I think you can.
45.
I think it might be harder.
Right.
So we don't usually, that tells everybody we usually pay cash.
Right.
So we're not doing deals like that. We're paying cash even on this side.
Right.
This type of thing. But that's.
So I think from a deal structure standpoint, and even on the sell side, then on the sell side, you could list it with an agent. And that's the way we sell properties. We list it on a lot of websites that really specialize in rural vacant land that are crawling with people that are already sold on the fact that they want to buy a piece of land. And when they see yours because it's priced cheapest in the area, it's not a hard sell. It sells itself.
Exactly.
So deal structure, land wins. Profit margin. Do you mind if I go first on this?
Go for it.
Here's a regular deal for us. We buy a piece of property for $500, $1,000, or $1,500. Don't believe us? Go on successplant.com and check it out. There's tons of members, Land Academy members, that are doing this and talking about it with each other. It's a little online community. So a typical deal for us is, let's say $1,500. We buy it for $1,500, maybe 5 or 10 acres out west here, or maybe if it's a vacation lot or a retirement type of situation east of the Mississippi, like in northern Michigan or Florida or something. Same numbers. We maybe buy it for, $2,000 now, and we immediately sell it because we only buy properties that we know we can double our money on immediately afterward or close to it on these online websites. And we sell $1,500. We sell it for $3,000, or we sell it for $4,000 or $5,000 for cash. Or if it's a great property, like Jill's working on 2 properties we just got in yesterday, 2 40-acre properties out west here. You buy them for $2,000 or $3,000 each, and then you sell them on terms where you collect a down payment, and then the buyer purchases the properties on terms for $100 or $200 or $300 a month for 15 or 20 years. Between 12 and 19 years is a typical deal for us. So what does that all add up to from a return on investment standpoint? And when you stack it against buying a house and flipping it or renting it out? Well, no one ever purchases a house that I know of with the intent to double their money. They might buy a house for $100,000, clean it up, and then make $10,000 or $20,000 if everything's going well. In some cases, they might make $30,000 if everything's working out well. So they don't double their money. Or if their down payment is that, they might. But boy, every house flipper I've ever talked to has some tragic stories. The regular deal, their average deal, they don't double it. They might one-off once in a while. Or they rent it. They buy a house, they clean it up, and they rent it out forever. And I'll tell you, that's maybe one of the oldest, greatest business models there ever was. Mm-hmm. The tons and tons of members that we have here at Land Academy, they're horsing around on the internet trying to start a real estate business where they buy houses and rent them out. And they end up buying land first just to test it out. And then they move on, or they continue to do the land and then work the rental business into their business model. So hands down, if you look at a percentage, where else are you going to do a real estate investment and get 100% return? I would love for someone to contact me, and not a one-off, but every month or every week.
What I'd like to add is it's consistent, by the way, because you bought it right. Number 2 is I can have multiple deals going on at the same time. Let's think about that one. How many? I think it takes a considerable amount of time and money to get to the point where you are successfully, if you're a rock star, maybe you have 3 flips going on at the same time, but talk about being spread thin versus I could have 10, 20 of these, who knows, dream it up, where I bought them for, just like some of Steven's numbers. These are really easy, good numbers. I could buy things for $1,500 and sell it for $5,000. In the size of properties that you're talking about.
Yeah, these aren't
all
my
day
numbers.
long.
They're our members' numbers.
Exactly.
Check it out on Success Plan.
Right. Well, our one guy bought for $1,500, selling on terms for $15,000. Right. That's not crazy.
Yeah.
Even I'm being really, really conservative. I bought for $1,500 to sell it for $5,000, $3,500 profit. I do it again, $7,000. Do it again, $14,000. I can keep doing this all day long. I didn't have to go anywhere, and have multiple in my pipeline all the time, building up a nice thing. I mean, it's too easy when you line them up.
Yeah, I did a blog one time where you have $2,000 of investment capital, and you take the $2,000 and you double it. So then it's $4,000. Then you buy 2, 8, 16, 32. It takes about 12 months to get to $1 million. Now that is if you got a lot of talent, maybe some experience, and there's a lot of people that have never done this before that are on their way to doing that in Success Plan, and they're talking about it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, show me that with houses.
Exactly. And I don't have to lift a hammer.
Hey, we never leave our offices. Sure. We do this on vacation.
Yep. It's very true.
Can you imagine trying to renovate a house like from Mexico?
No. Do you remember the one time we took the trip?
Yeah.
It
was a mess.
Yeah. And I remember you saying, can you take a week off? And I'm like, okay. But all the stars had to be in alignment for me to take that week off with the right people and the right crew, because you have stuff being delivered. Because if you're really making...
You have Steve being delivered.
Stuff being delivered. That's good.
You have Steve being delivered in pieces in a freezer.
Oh my gosh. And it was the wrong color and I had to send them back.
No, I know.
So it's just
we still flip houses. We just don't do any. There's no
not like
we flip them. We wholesale them to people who now do the work.
Exactly. And I just think of like we have a really good friend Dennis who does this successfully. He's been doing it for years, and it still involves him. And I'm like, gosh. And we're off having fun at 5:00 on Tuesday.
Right.
And he's still, there's some light out. So he's got to be at the property because he's still micromanaging some aspect of it. And I just don't want to do that.
Right.
So it's very interesting.
So profit margin and getting the asset ready for sale, land wins, hands down. Mm-hmm. Income stream potential. This is where I think, rental houses may have a slight edge over land, but I kind of think that it's closer to even than advantage, because you buy a 40-acre property for $2,000 or $3,000, maybe $4,000. You sell it for $25,000 on the internet or $20,000, and you start collecting the payments. Not all the time does that buyer finish that payment stream. Stuff happens, they stop paying or whatever, they disappear. And then you restart the clock with a new buyer. The key is, and that can go on for quite some time. All right, so great. A rental house, that goes on forever, maybe even for generations and generations. So they're both good. I don't think land wins hands down here.
I agree.
I think it's closer to neck and neck. And I guess if we have push comes to shove, you'd have to choose rental houses as a long-term income stream winner if you structure it properly and the ceiling doesn't fall in, everything's fine. That's the thing about land. You never have to see it. You never have to do anything.
That's a good point. Things can still go wrong with the other thing. It can burn down.
Plus, if you have $20,000, you can do like 10 land deals, 20 land deals.
Right.
$20,000 is going to buy one house.
Right.
One single point of failure.
Right.
Or success.
Oh, good point. I didn't think about that.
All right, so they're kind of even there. I'm going to let you take this one, Jill. Asset management or managing the physical asset throughout all the, is there any, I think everybody's got the point now.
Right.
Is there anything easier than managing a piece of vacant land somewhere?
Right. It's so nice. All I'm doing is sending up the payments, kind of like the equivalent of a rent check, if you will. It's a payment plan. I get them on auto pay, however it is, and that's it. No one's going to call me and say the washing machine doesn't work or the roof is leaking or, and I don't have to be keeping an eye on them, making sure they're mowing the lawn or letting it, fall apart. There's nothing. I don't need to set aside any carrying costs, for really anything.
Right.
I have it all set up. They're paying the property taxes. That's just the way we structure our deal. So it's really that easy. I maybe talk to these people once a year. Maybe.
Can you imagine renting a house out and talking to the tenant once a year?
That's a dream.
Right. Because stuff goes wrong.
It always does. It always says something's leaking, broken, needs this, needs that, so it's, we don't need to harp on it. It's just kind of, this is meant to be a light, fun show.
I know.
Okay. Pick it up, Steven. Let's make it more fun.
Here. What can we
Give me
talk
something
about?
fun. Give me something good. I got something funny, kind of.
Yeah.
Here's something to think about. Little things that this is just, when I've had this discussion with other people, there's little things that have come up. One is, credit scores are not needed. I can't tell you how many times I see blogs and people are wanting to get into this business and they're really worried about their credit scores.
Geez.
Well, and it's a valid point depending on what they're doing. If they really are trying to take out a mortgage on a home, maybe they have a primary residence, right? And now they want to take on more debt. Credit score is a big deal.
Right.
And I get that. So with our way, not needed. It's a little interesting thing.
Right.
One other thing I think is really, really good is easy to get. It's longer to get into a home and also longer to get out of a home. What if something, heaven forbid, catastrophic has happened in your life? You need to cash out for whatever reason. It's not a quick exit strategy. And that's just a little something I think to think about.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't just try and sell this rental home tomorrow. Best case scenario, again, is it 30 days? I've got a renter in there. It's probably longer. Maybe it's a 60-day average.
I mean, just to do the deal, just to actually do the, because somebody who's going to buy it's going to buy it with financing. You're looking at 60 days. Right. And deals fall apart.
Oh, my goodness.
I think it takes 6 months. So you should plan on 6 months.
I agree.
With land, and this is a major misconception, that it takes a long time to sell land. I've heard people say that my whole career. If it's priced right, it takes one day.
Exactly.
It takes a really long time to sell land that's overpriced.
Right.
That's what they should say.
Right. I think if you budget, well, you could sell it tomorrow. If you really want to plan on, say 30 days, maybe if you want to plan, I know even that's kind of.
I wouldn't do a deal. I would say no.
Oh, no.
I would not do an acquisition that I know I can't sell in a week.
Well, I'm trying to maximize price, let's just say. Okay. I mean, that's the thing too. The longer if you want to drag it out a little bit and maximize price a little bit, you can do that. So, but you could sell it tomorrow. Otherwise you wouldn't have bought it. You know where and you know how to sell it tomorrow for half price.
Right. And my last point is acquisition pipeline. So everybody knows in the business that you got to have a bunch of deals lined up constantly to continuously succeed. I think it's a lot easier to do that with vacant land because there's no competition. You're sending a bunch of mailers out to landowners and sending a bunch of mailers out to homeowners. Nobody gets a letter. Most of the people that call us back, I ask them if they've ever been contacted, and they say no. Or if they say yes, it's like, I've been contacted, but I've never had an offer sent to me in the mail, unsolicited. So I think it's way easier to maintain a real solid acquisition pipeline in the land business. But if you know what you're doing, we do it with houses too.
We've proven it.
Yeah.
We've proven it, and we have it still. We can shut it off, and it doesn't go away because we have so many out there and it's just being consistent. Once you get going, if you make a decision that this is what you want to do, then just do it. Don't look back, get into a system, and just do it, and it won't go away. We've proven that.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay.
Even though this show maybe win the most boring award.
Yes.
Check us out on Land Academy and Success Plant. and let's go buy some property. I'm not sure we pulled that off.
Oh, that was a tough one. I think that was a good topic, though, and I think people will appreciate it. We brought up some good points, and
it is. I mean, it's so glaringly obvious that
there's a difference.
Is it too salesy, you think?
Salesy how?
Like, buy land. It's cheaper and easier.
People don't know it. No, I think we're actually doing a service, because I am constantly having people say, I didn't know you could do this.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm like, yes, you can, and make a great profit. It's not.
Hey, let's chalk it up to necessary information, maybe not the most fun.
Yeah, it's called Stephen to pick this topic. Thank goodness my next topic's going to save this one.
Okay. That being said,
Stephen wrote that one, everyone. It was not Jill's idea.
Thank you, Jill.
Welcome.
Thank you for throwing me under the bus.
Absolutely.
Join us in the next episode where Jill flirts to convert. Jill takes on sex appeal to sell land.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com.
If you want to get involved or you need more information about our profitable, niche real estate operation, call 480-467-0359. You just might get Jill at the other end of the line.
Landacademy.com. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.